Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Sunday, December 1st. Feels like it's been a long time since I chatted with y'all. I hope everyone had a fantastic holiday, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, all that good stuff. But it's time to talk some Jaguars football again. And it's a really interesting day for Jaguars football. Trevor Lawrence returning to the lineup against the Texans. And that's not even the biggest news we have here. The Jacksonville Jaguars have extended offensive tackle Walker Little through 2027, a 3-year, $45 million deal, $15 million per year for Walker Little. And it now looks like, at the very least, the Jaguars have 2 starting tackles moving forward for at least the next couple years. So we're going to break it all down here today. The actual contract, what that means, Walker Little, the player, like what does he bring to the football field for the Jaguars? Look at, were there a lot of other options for the Jaguars to secure the future at tackle? And then talk about, what he can go out there and do today, and then the Trent Baalke of it all as well. So very, very fascinating news in my opinion. Fired up to get into it. Really appreciate y'all's support of the channel. I'm very thankful for it in this season of thanks, right? So 3-year deal, $45 million. Walker Little. He is technically now under contract through 2027. The way the Jaguars do these deals, structure these deals, there will be a team out after the second year, which means the Jaguars can get out of the contract after year 2, which would be 2026. The extension will start in 2025. It is the final year of Walker Little's rookie contract, right? So, final year of his deal right now. Going into 2025 will be the first year of this new extension, and then after the 2026 season is when the Jaguars could decide to move on if they so choose, because there will be an out for the team that will save them a lot of cap space if they decide to move on. That's how the Jaguars structure contracts. Bottom line, it's been that way since before Trent Baalke got here. It will be that way after Trent Baalke leaves, right? Shad Khan, because he's willing to write these signing bonuses, because he's willing to structure contracts, thanks to his big wallet. That's how the Jaguars do business. And that's how a lot of teams do business in the NFL. It's not an uncommon thing to have an out for the team, before the actual contract ends. And then so if they exercise that team out, obviously that will end up being a 2-year deal where they'll basically have some dead money on the back end. But Walker Little, under contract for 3 years now, 2 years if you look at the 2-year out. And that to me signals that this is an organization, a franchise that views Walker Little as a starting caliber tackle. And look, $15 million, it's not record-breaking tackle money, right? Like if we look up tackle contracts in the NFL right now, $15 million per year over a 3-year deal, it's not top of the market. So we can look at this right now. Average annual value, Trent Williams is top of the market at $27 million, nearly double what Walker Little is going to be getting here. So Walker Little down at 15, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So he'll be right around 13th in average annual value on this extension, less than what Cam Robinson got on his last deal with the Jaguars. To me, it doesn't signal that the Jaguars view Walker Little as maybe a franchise player, but as a player that at a position that is incredibly difficult to get right, as a player that they can win with. Maybe not win because of, but win with. And I tend to agree. We've talked about this here on the channel recently, the Jaguars' potential options for the future at offensive tackle. When you're talking about looking at the 2025 draft class, which is your next draft class, you have the opportunity to potentially add some talent. In the first round, second round, there's more questions than answers at offensive tackle, specifically left tackle in this class. Will Campbell, to me, looks more like a guard, right? He does not have the feet, the quickness, the length to hang out on an island with a lot of these speed rushers in the NFL these days. I can say the same exact thing about Kelvin Banks out of Texas, who also has big time balance issues in my opinion. So when it comes to the draft, there's some enticing prospects, but I think when you compare those prospects to what you have in Walker Little, more questions than answers. And Walker Little, look, he's played he's played stretches of games in every single season of his career, has not been named the starter until this year, until they decided to trade away Cam Robinson. And is that a Walker Little issue? Is that a roster management issue? What does that come down to? In my opinion, it was a roster management fail by Trent Baalke, because you've drafted Walker Little in the second round in 2021. You value this player clearly by drafting them in the second round. And then instead of after his rookie year, where Cam Robinson started, instead of after that year saying, all right, we drafted Walker Little in the second round, he's now going into year 2, it's time to see if he can be the guy. Instead of doing that, the Jaguars signed Cam Robinson to a big extension at the time and said, we're just going to shelf Walker Little for now. Jawan Taylor was starting at right tackle. There was a competition there, but Jawan Taylor won that competition, then went and got an incredibly big bag from the Kansas City Chiefs. So again, Walker Little just has not found his way into the starting lineup until now, consistently. But due to Cam Robinson's suspension and injuries, we have gotten a glimpse at what Walker Little is as a player. And again, he's about 6'7", 320 pounds. We'll see what he's officially listed at right now by the Jaguars. But this is a big tackle, a big physical offensive lineman who, in my opinion, has the length, the strength, the athleticism, and now you're starting to see some of the experience to be a starter in this league. Again, not a franchise tackle, but a starter, right? Somebody who you can view as a starter in this league. And I think the reason, he's 6'7", 324 pounds, according to the Jaguars. The reason you go ahead and make this move now is because there's not a lot of other options once free agency opens up, once this season ends. And not only do you risk losing Walker Little if you don't get this deal done now, but again, what are your other options? Rookie, you're probably not drafting somebody that's going to come in and be better than Walker Little next year or the year after. Just the way it is. There's a couple guys that I think do have tremendous upside at tackle, but some view those two guys as guards as well, Marcus Mbo and Armand Membu. But again, projecting any of these young rookies to come in and be better than Walker Little next year, I think, is probably folly. And then you look at the free agent market. You have Garrett Bowles from Denver, who, yes, would be a massive upgrade. And yes, I mean, if you were able to put all your chips in on Garrett Bowles and land him to protect Trevor Lawrence, that would be huge. There's probably 15 to 20 other teams that would like to do the same thing. And oh, by the way, the Denver Broncos, they're playing pretty good football. They'd like to keep him around too. Sean Payton's not going to want to let that guy leave. But even if he does, there's no guarantee the Jaguars would be the team that could land him at all. So you've got that. And then Tyron Smith, who obviously is way on the wrong side of 30. And Garrett Bowles is up there too. Like, he's 32 years old. I think Tyron Smith is 34 or 35. So again, not a lot of options. Like, beyond those two guys, there really isn't a player out there that you could 100% convince me or any talent evaluator that is going to be better than Walker Little over the next couple of years. There isn't. So your other options were slim, and Walker Little, I think, has proven to be a capable starter, middle of the pack starter, with slightly above average upside overall. Like, again, has the length, the strength, the anchor. He moves well in space. He can create some push at the point of attack. He's been a mostly clean pass protector at left tackle. When you look at the actual numbers, 3 clean sheets in the last 5 games. You look at the other 2 games, they weren't real pretty. There were some moments where certainly Josh Sweat and some of the Green Bay Packers pass rushers gave Walker Little a tough deal, tough time. And I don't think that Walker Little is, again, a top 10 tackle in this league, a top 10 left tackle, but a passable starter. And so to me, if I was looking at this, it would be, can Walker Little get us by over the next couple years while we try to find that long-term solution? And in that regard, I have no problem with it. This is probably going to be a $6 to $7 million year one cap hit. You're going to have a decent chunk of change committed to him in 2026. And then team out. So you could very easily be looking at this as if, you know, it's a 2-year deal where you're just using him as a stopgap option to find the next guy. And by the way, he's still a young player. If he, actually gets in the starting lineup and shows some improvement at only 25 years old, then you could also have the opportunity to extend him further. And so I look at it as a win-win from just a roster management and having a answer at tackle moving forward. But there are some questions I have about it, so we're going to dive into that. But first, got to remind y'all to check out Underdog Fantasy for Pick'em and a whole lot more. You can use code Duval Daily, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash Pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. This season, Underdog is going to be running a special promo or bonus almost every single day, like Profit Boost. You can pump up your winnings in just a tap when you apply the boost to eligible entries on their easy-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Tons of options for Jaguars and Texans. Go check it out. If you want to pick a running back to score in this football game, Underdog has Vulture Protection to rescue your pick'em. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code Duval Daily to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. So a couple things to talk about here. Now that this deal is done, today is an opportunity for proof of concept against a very good pass rush. A pass rush that gave the Titans, even in a loss last week, absolute fits. They're going to test Walker Little. And they're going to test Anton Harrison as well, who's been playing better as of late. But again, looking at 2025, probably most of 2026, those are your two starting tackles, Walker Little and Anton Harrison. So they need to go out and protect their quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, we haven't talked about this on the channel because it happened late in the week, but he's going to play today. Trevor Lawrence with a fairly significant left shoulder injury, and Doug Peterson has talked about it being a pain tolerance issue. There's still a chance that Trevor Lawrence is going to have to get surgery on that shoulder. And you've got a 2-9 football team going out there and playing their injured quarterback, which of course he wants to be out there. Let's make no mistake about it. Trevor Lawrence is an absolute leader, gamer. He wants to be out there. He wants to be playing football with the guys. He does. It's risky because if he ends up having to have surgery, first of all, you could have already had the surgery and started the recovery process. But if you have to wait till after the year or you further injure this and there's a little bit longer recovery, whatever it may be, I mean, there's a fair amount of risk for a team that's 2-9, and they're not mathematically eliminated from winning their division or getting into the playoffs. But let's be real. They're 2-9. It's not like they were an amazing team when Trevor Lawrence was healthy. They were more competitive. They were in a lot of close ball games, whereas, the last couple games have really gotten away from them. Minnesota was trying to lose that game. The Jaguars wouldn't let them. They only scored 7 points. And then the Detroit Lions, that was one of the ugliest ball games I've ever seen by the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? Probably the ugliest game. If the Lions had played their starters the whole time and not had to take their foot off the gas a little bit there at the end, you could have been talking about a 60 burger. Trevor Lawrence playing in this game is an interesting topic. If he gets hurt, further hurt, has to leave the game, fans are going to be absolutely all over this organization, and they already are for good reason. If they go out and win the game, maybe you say it's worth the risk, but guess what? You win this football game and you're still a 3-9 football team. Right? So there's all that. And then there's the Trent Baalke of it all. To my understanding, to my knowledge, Trent Baalke over the last several years as the Jaguars GM has not negotiated contracts during the year, during the season, right? Like, you had the opportunity to extend Josh Allen last year. And they did end up getting it done at the last minute, but you had the opportunity to extend Josh Allen, and you didn't have any discussions with his representation until the end of January. So that's bizarre. Just that in and of itself, the fact that Walker Little is the player that got Trent Baalke to finally negotiate in season. I don't know. That's interesting. Maybe Trent Baalke saw what happened last year and was like, maybe I should start to do some negotiations in season. Maybe that could help me out when it comes to maneuvering the off season. Maybe a year too late on that, but that's bizarre. It's also bizarre that Trent Baalke is making moves for the future. Now, when I say that, trading a player, a low-end player for draft capital, that is completely normal in a year where a general manager might be on the hot seat, might be getting fired, right? What's not completely normal and usual is extending a player, making a decision like this at left tackle if you're on the hot seat. Because, maybe that's something that the new general manager, the new head coach would like to figure out if there were going to be a new general manager and a new head coach. It's weird. It is really weird, and the Jaguars continue to be the weirdest organization in the NFL, continue to make strange decisions, continue to make headlines that surprise me. At this point, nothing should surprise you with the Jacksonville Jaguars, but this one did. This one really surprised me, and not because I was against it. I've talked about it. I think that going into 2025, there might have been like one or two better options at tackle than Walker Little that you had the actual opportunity to potentially pursue. And that would have been a couple free agents that are older guys. Garrett Bowles would have been number one. Tyron Smith, maybe. But again, that's a stopgap option. I think the Jaguars look at Walker Little as baseline of a stopgap option. But if it goes well, could be a long-term solution. If that's the case. But again, why is Trent Baalke the one getting to make that call if he's in any risk of not sticking around? I don't know. Baffling situation in Jacksonville. There's no question about it. But I really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content here, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear. We do have our Black Friday through Cyber Monday deal going on right now. It's 50% off everything at genjag.com with code Duval. That's 3 U's, DUUUVAL. genjag.com/shop. Really appreciate y'all. Hopefully it can be an enjoyable Sunday here. We'll find out soon.